We're talking to Bob Bowlsby, the Big 12 commissioner. Are you firm on a Final Four? How would you feel about 18 playoff?
Well, I don't. I would never say never. I think there's a lot right about the 4-team playoff, and what we wanted to have happen, Dan. And when I say we, I mean the 10 commissioners of the FBS conferences. We wanted to make sure we kept the bowl system strong, and I think we've done that by embedding these games in the bowl system. We wanted to keep October and November as good as it's always been, because I really think it's the best regular season in all of sports. Every week is an elimination game. And then we wanted to encourage intersectional contests in September, which we always had trouble accommodating. And now I think it's better than it's ever been before in terms of some of the interconference and intersectional matchups. So I think in large measure we've met our objectives. There's always going to be a musical chairs component to having 10 conferences chasing 4 spots, and that's particularly true for the 5 autonomy conferences. But I think that's one of the reasons why it's so interesting. I think we have to be a little bit careful too, because this playoff enjoys about 85% support from the public, and it's far better than the Alliance or the Coalition or the BCS as predecessors. And so we've made a lot of progress, and we're just 5 years into a 12-year agreement on our TV. But that's not to say that it couldn't evolve, and that's not to say that it won't evolve. I just think there's a lot right about it, and I think it's the compromises that were made in order to get us to this position have not changed. And so I think we need to be cautious, but I would certainly never say never.
Yeah, I think that we could, I think, even emphasize the bowl games more, because you would have games coming up that would actually have meaning. There'd be more teams involved, storylines in there. This weekend would be huge, because these would be elimination games. Now, you can say they're elimination games, but Northwestern is not moving on if they beat Ohio State. Pitt's not moving on if they beat Clemson. So this is a big game. If Texas wins, they're not moving on. So that's where I love, if you had 8 teams and you were able to create more storylines here, then you make that regular season even more dynamic. So I'm all in on 8. It took me a long time to convince people to go to 4, because everybody was sold on the BCS. But if you had the BCS now, Bob, you would have Notre Dame undefeated on the outside, just like we did Auburn back in 2004. So maybe we get to 8. I think eventually we'll get to 8, because everybody will make their money. We keep the bowls, and you keep the integrity of the regular season. So that's my hope.
Well, there's also the middle ground of going to 6 at some point in time. But one of the things that is a challenge, if you want to keep it in the major bowl games, is if you don't play this weekend, and there isn't any certainty that would be the case. Now, the one thing that's nice about playing, if you did it this weekend, was the losers could still go on and participate in the bowl system, and the winners could move on into the semifinals. Now, but if you do it with another model that would have the games a little later, so that teams had longer to prepare, then all of a sudden you have a round of games that are the week before Christmas. And if you want to keep those in the major bowl games, then all of a sudden you're going to have years where the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl or somebody else they're going to have to move their game before Christmas, and you're talking about 100 years of tradition. Now, you could not do them in the bowl games. You could play them on campus sites. There are a number of different models that would work. Having spent a lot of time in the upper Midwest, I'm not sure that playing in Madison, Wisconsin on the 15th of December is really a great idea for college kids, but Green Bay does it, so maybe it's okay. There are a number of different components to it, but I don't disagree with what you say. I think that more might indeed be better. We haven't had those conversations in any sort of serious way, and I don't expect that we will right away. But as I say, it's not inconceivable that at some point in time we have a serious conversation about that.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.